Hi and welcome to another gaming video. And in the previous video I explained that my Gameboy Advance SP has a bit of a dodgy power switch. Sometimes when you turn it on it doesn't come on. It takes sort of 2 or 3 attempts. It looks as if it's working at the minute, but it's quite an easy fix. Don't need a full strip down, but you will need to take the back cover off. So you need a normal screwdriver and a tri-wing screwdriver and maybe a bit of air in a can. So we'll start off by taking the battery door off. So that is a normal Phillips screwdriver. I think that is the only one on the SP, or at least for this project. And take the battery out, and then you've got 5 or 6 tri-wing screwdrives or screws. So you've got 4 around the edge of the console. So keep these separate because you need to put the right ones back in the right place. These look like they're sort of little gold type coloured. And they're all the same length. Normally I'd use a little rubber mat, which not only protects the console, but it's got little sections in to keep the screws separate. You've got one here above the cartridge slot. Which, as you can see, is a lot shorter. So we'll keep that one separate. So those are the outside ones. That is the cartridge slot, and then there is one just under the battery door here, which is proving a little tricky. And they look like they are the same size. No, the battery door one is a bit thinner, so I'm going to put that with the battery just so I remember. And that is it. Then the back casing should, along with the trigger buttons, come off. So the trigger buttons are all still attached. Great, because I really hate putting those things back in. And then we take a look at the console itself, and as you can see, it's a little bit grubby in there, as you expect for a console of this age. So while we've got it open, just grab a toothbrush and give it a bit of a clean. So dodgy power switches on Game Boy Advance SPs are a bit of a common thing. So just give that a bit of a clean, maybe just scrape some of the gunk out of it. If I was to give this a full clean, I would have taken the whole console apart and washed them all, but this is a simple fix. So this button here is your power switch. So there you go. Just give that a bit of a wiggle. Normally I would have probably dropped some drops of isopropyl in there, or IPA, but I don't have any at the minute, so I'm just going to give the whole console a bit of a blowout with some compressed air and let that settle for a second. So if this doesn't work, then the next step is a bit more tricky. You could drop some isopropyl in there. If that still doesn't work, then it's a case of taking this metal piece off the top to reveal the innards of the power slidey switch. Normally that gets covered in grime and God knows what. So that's as much as this clean is going to do today. So we will then pop that back together. It's quite a nice console to put back together and to take apart, at least on this depth. So we take the battery from where I put it, near the battery, and pop it in the battery compartment. So it's always a good idea to label which screws are which. So that goes in there. You can pick these tri-wing screwdrivers up for a couple of pounds. Most Nintendo handhelds use tri-wings. Okay, so make sure that's tight but not too tight. This screw came from the cartridge slot, so that goes in there. And then you've got the 4 screws that go in the outer shell. And they go quite deep into the console itself. Make sure they're okay. So as you saw, when you take the back casing off, it isn't actually the switch on the board that makes that clicking noise. It is the button itself going against the casing that gives you that nice firm click. So there we go, we just simply put those 4 screws back in. Make sure it's tight but not too tight. These are going into plastic, so we don't want to damage that. So there you go, that's your Game Boy Advance put back together. Everything seems to work. Pop the battery back in, make sure you pop it in the right way, and put your door back on with a normal screwdriver, a normal sort of little Phillips screwdriver. And that is a quick, well, about a 5-minute job to take apart and put back together, and it could fix your problem. Could just be a bit of grime in there getting stuck in the button, and that could solve your problem. You wouldn't need a full strip down. Like I said, a bit of compressed air, blow some of the rubbish out, scrape some of the gunk out of it, and it could fix your problem. If it doesn't, then you might need a bit of a full strip down on the button, but that really seems to have fixed whatever issue I had going on. And it's quite an easy fix. There are a lot of fixes online for various consoles that require quite a bit of technical expertise, but like I said, it's just you take the battery door off, then you use your tri-wing screwdriver to take 1, 2, 3, 4 screws out. There's one under there, and then there's one underneath the battery itself. The back casing will lift off, and you could just give it a bit of a clean out. You can drop some IPA in there, that would help, but unfortunately I didn't have any, so I just gave the whole thing a bit of a blast with some air blaster or air duster, which you can pick up very cheaply, and that could be a quick, simple fix to a common problem with the Game Boy Advance SP. I hope that helps, and I hope that fixes your problem. Let me know, drop a comment, link, like, subscribe, enjoy.